All right, everybody, cash call back again this week. Dale Archdekin, Brian Curtis. We're doing some more call review, man. There are calls keep happening, conversations keep happening. And I don't know about you, Brian, but I feel like they continue to need our input and expertise.
Amen. You know, what I like to see, like the call that I've got today, it's more nuanced, the things that we're going to talk about. It's not, I feel like we're making some improvements. The stuff that I felt like we were just kind of bashing people over the head with for 6 months, I feel like we've gotten that in, and we're seeing better quality in some areas. And so now we get to go from here to here instead of from here all the way down, not even on my screen, to try and be someplace. It's much easier to close that smaller gap and get a little bit better. And by the way, that's what this market needs. You need some expertise. You need some sales skills in this market compared to, say, I don't know, a year ago when you just needed a pulse. So yeah, absolutely. I'm kind of excited about that.
So I've got 2 calls from different trainees with my company. Patrick Donegan, keep bashing. Patrick Donegan says, "Keep bashing us noobs." Nice, Patrick. Wait a minute. Do you have Patrick's call recording to play? Brian, I don't have Patrick's call recorded. Brian or Patrick, that's so weird, man. You have the best scripting and dialogue trainers on the planet Earth right here in front of you, live, prime time, but we don't have any call recordings from you to play, sir. I feel like you should fix that. Okay.
He's going to get us one.
He's going to work on fixing that. All right, good. So I have 2 students from my training company, Brian Hugo and Nick Johnson. I'm calling them out because my trainer, Lori, said Nick would be over the moon if we called him out and said that we are going to be playing his call today. She said he probably has everybody crowded around the radio machine to listen to us right now. But I've got Brian Hugo, Nick Johnson that I'm going to be playing. And with Brian, I'm really happy to, I want you listening for the kinds of questions that Brian asks. And I'm going to have some feedback about, delivery, tone, pacing, but in terms of the kind of questions that he asks. And likewise with Nick, I want everybody listening to their process that they go through, because you can hear the process, and it comes from training with us. So let me play this over here. Share my sound. All right, we're going to start with this one.
Hello, this is Hugo.
Hi, Hugo. This is Brian with the DCL real estate team, and I was giving you a call because you were on our home search site looking at homes in Phoenix, and I was curious if you were looking to make a move or if you're just window shopping.
So he did great at the intro script. The only part that he missed is he didn't match the guy's first word. He didn't match the lead's first word. Oh, you were going to say that, Brian?
Yeah, I was literally typing that out so I'd remember it.
Sorry, I called it out. For everybody listening, that's just one of those things that we teach. Match the first word. There's no reason not to match the first word. It gets you in a rapport faster. And it's this funny thing, Brian. It forces you to be active listening from the very first word.
And that's what it's all about. Like, seriously, I love that. It's one of the reasons I keep preaching to people, know your scripts, because if I know my script on the front end, then I can listen. I'm not trying to figure out what I'm supposed to say. So you can't do 2 things at once, right? I can't try and remember my script and listen to what the person says at the same time. Doesn't work.
Right, exactly.
So we decided actually just to wait. We're going to wait about 6 months.
Okay.
Hopefully the market actually crashes. Not really what I want, but for me, it will be the best thing.
Okay. And
so he said, we're going to wait about 6 months. We're waiting for the market to crash, or hoping that the market's going to crash. That would be the best thing for me. He gave us a lot of information. Gave us a lot of information, which, I mean, listen, everybody listening, Brian, who are the people for whom a market crash or prices coming down would be great for? There's not a lot of them.
People with a truckload of money.
People with money who want to invest in real estate. I mean, that right off the bat, every single investor, that would be great for. I personally would like to buy some more rental properties also. I'd like a nice little shiny 5 to 8 unit building, at a reasonable cap rate. So that would work really well for me if that happened. But there aren't too many other people. So anyway, just listen to what Brian does here into the face of a lot of information. I'm just establishing what kind of information we have, because I'm going to come back and give advice on where to go instead of what Brian did.
When you say crashes, what do you Would you go?
I'm trying to go down, man. I'm trying to just like wait for 6 months, no matter what, though. So.
Okay. So what's important to you about the 6 month time frame?
So what I'm looking for, like, at something that was like I just gotta be straight out with you. Something was $1 million, then I'm waiting for about 400-500 now. And plus the interest rate is a little crazy right now.
Okay, so I just want to make sure I heard you right. So you're saying something that was worth $1 million you want to get for 500,000 or 600,000? Is that what you're
Yes,
saying?
that's what I'm looking for.
All right. So the part that I want to applaud with Brian here is he's just following the line of questioning, right?
Yeah.
Now, I think that we could improve what he was doing, but he said, okay, what when you say market crash, what exactly do you mean? When do you think that's going to happen? What will you get out of that? What's important to you about the market crashing? He's doing really good discovery questions into the face of this. He's not arguing with the guy. He's not trying to change his mind. He's really trying to understand him, and then he's like, oh, I want to buy $1 million property for 400,000 or 500,000. Brian's still there with him. He's like, okay, all right, I'm still just understanding you, dude. So I want to celebrate the fact that Brian's really following the process there, which is great. I do actually have.
I liked his 6 month question, but he never got an answer for it. What's the significance of 6 months for you? And he never got an answer for that. And I don't know if he comes back to it or not, but he might, because, I might ask this question after that guy made his ridiculous comment. So if I could find you $1 million property today for $500,000, are you interested?
Yeah. Yeah.
I want to, and by the way, I don't have one, and I don't think I'm going to find one, because if I do, I'm going to buy it. But I mean,
if I find $1 million property for half price right now that I don't want, do you want me to tell you about it?
Right, exactly, which is highly unlikely. But my point is that, the reason I would ask that question is I want to know, is this guy even have any, are his objections just BS, or is he just throwing stuff up? Because it feels like he's just throwing random shit up, because of course everybody in the country wants to buy something at 50% off. I mean, come on.
Right. What turns out is this guy's an investor, has cash. He is only looking for deals. He's literally has no other motivation to do anything unless some kind of deal comes across his plate. That's what happens. Now, the reason I pulled this call, don't be misled when I say that. I want to demonstrate this really great process that Brian's using of unpacking the guy, not objecting to him, not arguing with him, just really understanding the game.
He's doing good. He really is.
Yeah, he's doing good. I'm going to go on to Nick's call. Let's go to Nick's. Hopefully Nick is listening.
Hello.
Hi, is this Rona?
Who is this?
All right, so Nick needs a little more training around this. Nick didn't match her word, and he asked if it was her. So we always train, you match the first word, and you're always talking to the right person, even if you're not, right? It's always the right person. I like to joke that telemarketers ask if it's you, debt collectors know it's you, and you have to prove it isn't, right? We're debt collectors. I know it's you. I know it's you, Brian. You can't lie to me. Stop using a woman's voice. I know it's you.
I always say this. None of my friends, when I pick up the phone, ask if it's me.
There you go, right?
Yeah. If Dale calls me, I don't go, Dale doesn't go, is this Brian?
No.
He knows who he called because he has my phone number and we're friends. So
hi, is this mom? No, I know
exactly. And that's what we do when we ask that question. We prove that we do not have a standing relationship.
Right, exactly. And the flips and the other part of that, Brian, that some people forget, Nick, you need to hear this, is if somebody calls me up and says, hey, Dale, hi, Dale, hello, Dale, what's going on, Dale? And I don't know who they are, immediately I'm like, uh-oh, I better figure out if you're important or not before I insult you or hang up on you.
So I'll even add that. I'll even add it to another step. I have about 5,300 people saved in my phone. I promise you, I don't remember half of them. I probably don't remember a third of them. But if someone called me and the name was Bob and I see it on my phone, it says Bob, I'm like, hey, Bob, what's going on? Like, we're best friends. I don't even know who Bob is, but I'm going to pretend like he's my best friend because maybe and then I'm going to try and figure out who he is. And then hopefully I can remember and I can sell him a house or something like that. But
Of course. Yeah,
yeah,
good point, man. But I think, it's because we're professional salespeople, right? So
that's true.
we're always selling. So just remember that, Nick. So we missed that part. Let's get back to just what happened in the intro here.
Who is this?
I'm sorry.
Who is this?
Hi, this is Nick with Thrive Real Estate Group, and the reason I'm calling is I just saw that you were looking on the website, and I was just wondering if you're still looking to sell soon, or were you just browsing
I'm
the
just
website?
looking, just to see what's going on with prices.
Now, I don't know why Nick went to selling. So I don't know if Nick had notes on this person. Because typically if you're like, hey, you're on our website, looking at our website, that's typically somebody looking at purchasing, right? And then she said, oh, I'm just looking to see what's going on. So I don't know why he said selling.
Right. And before you play that, I want everyone to pay attention to what we'll call it a client, for lack of a better word. Listen to how her tone changed, or think about how her tone. The very first thing was, I don't remember what he said, but it wasn't right. And she was like, huh, what? She was kind of irritated, frustrated. So he took a step back, read the script. Hey, this is Nick with so-and-so. And she went, oh, okay. And she kind of made our point there. Like, if you want sales friction, do it the way Nick did the first time. If you wanted to smooth out some, do it the way Nick did it the second time.
Yep.
Cool, yeah. There's a ton of price drops right now, so it's kind of an interesting time. I can't remember. Were you looking to sell, or possibly, or are you
Well,
thinking about?
I'm not doing anything right now. I pulled my house off the
Right.
market, but I still like to look at prices and see what.
I'm not doing anything right now. I pulled my house off the market.
How come?
Okay. Now, what's that, Brian?
How come is going to be my next question.
Yeah,
Better than that.
well, yeah, that's definitely one direction to go. Let's hear where Nick goes.
what they're going for.
Okay, cool. Well, it's just
I
so that
may
I
go back in
can.
the market in another year or so. I don't know yet.
So she adds in, I might get into the market in another year or so, right? Or I think she said might put it back in the market in another year or so.
Okay, totally. And is there something that you specifically want to see, just so I can?
No, there's not something she specifically wants to see, Nick. Wrong question. What she just said was, I had my house on the market. Well, first of all, she said, I'm just looking, salesperson who wants to sell me something, right? Pulled my house off the market, not doing anything right now, might do something a year from now. And then he asks, is there something specific you want to see? So what she said is, I'm up here in the sales funnel with no concept of doing anything. And Nick says, hey, do you know what you'd like to do? Right? No, she doesn't. That's the wrong direction to go.
Yeah, it feels like this person is an expired or withdrawn. I don't know. I mean, that's kind of what it feels like.
Yeah, so it turns out she is an expired. However, I believe she must be on their website looking at properties, and that's how Nick approached her. So I don't know if he saw a note about a previous listing or if it shows up in his system as also being an expired. But Justin, we'll finish listening to this portion, but I just want to point out, you talked about sales friction. Like, given everything we heard, that finite of a question of, is there something specific you want to see, is the wrong thing to ask this woman who's already regarding us as a salesperson who wants to sell her something and she isn't ready for it.
Yeah. And is he going to do any discovery on why she took her house off the market?
We're going to see.
Okay.
Specialize that?
No,
search
not
for you?
really. I'm just looking.
Okay, totally. Well, I'll follow up in a couple of weeks. Would that be okay for you?
Nope, he's just going to threaten her with another random sales call.
Sonny,
Hey, I'll be outside your window in the tree about a month from now. Wave when you get changed.
Yeah, I went a little creepy on us there, so I'm going to keep talking. But it's interesting. We literally had this on a role play this morning, and somebody said, "Well, I'm going to call. Is it okay if I call you in 2 weeks?" I was the person who was playing the buyer seller, and I just said no.
No.
And here's why I did that, because that's one of the options to the question. This is a yes/no question. 50% of the time you're getting no, and it's not going to be no. What's going to be is no, I'm good. I'm not looking to buy anything. As a matter of fact, please don't follow up with me. I'll follow up with you when I'm ready.
Or it's going to be a, yeah, that's the other 50% of the no's. Yeah, sure.
So if you want to tell someone you're going to follow up with them, tell them you're going to follow up with them. Hey, Dale, I just follow up with people every once in a while. I wanted to let you know, because things change in the market and it's changing your situation. So, I'll look forward to talking with you in the future. By the way, do you have any questions before I let you go? I want to say something as if it's a fact and it's not an option. I'm going to do it no matter what. Doesn't mean you're going to take my call, but I'm going to tell them, hey, I'm going to follow up with you in a couple of weeks or in a month. I actually just say I'm going to follow up with you. I don't give them a time frame, because if I say I'm going to follow up with you in 2 weeks, they could say, no, follow up with me in 6 months. But if you say I'll just follow up with you every once in a while, as far as they know, that's a week, a month, a year, 6 years. They don't know.
Yeah, you know what I would have done here is when she went through, I had my house on the market, took it off. I'm just looking, might put it back on in a year. And where Nick went to, oh, do you have something specific you want to see? I probably would have done the discovery you were talking about. I would have switched channels and said, hey, you mentioned that you had your home on the market. I'm really sorry to hear that it didn't sell. What happened?
Yes.
To switch channel there. Get off this, can I sell you something or show you something channel? Because she's already said no to it multiple times. Just switch and go present tense, right? Or even past tense. What happened with the property when you try to sell it?
Yeah. And here's another thing you can do down that road too. So yeah, I appreciate that. Let me ask you this, because I do work with a lot of buyers. Is I know that you don't want to put your house back on the market. That's not what I'm asking. That being said, if I happen to have a person who was interested in your house, would you, consider letting me show it? And I wouldn't start there. I would do the discovery first, but that's an additional question that you can ask, because all you're doing is you're trying to crack the door open a little bit.
Yeah.
And, do I really want to go take somebody to somebody's house that's not on the market? I did a year ago. Today, not so much, but at least I'm building a relationship with them. I'm theoretically bringing some value.
Yeah. I want to hear how this ends. So Nick just threatened to randomly call her.
Probably not. I'd rather you, like every 3 months, because I got a lot of stuff going on.
Here it is.
Okay,
Here it is.
okay, totally. Well, I'll follow up in a couple of weeks. Would that be okay for you?
Probably not. I'd rather you, like every 3 months, because I got a lot of stuff going on before Christmas.
Okay.
I won't be doing anything before Christmas.
Yeah, totally get that. Yeah, every 3 months is totally fine. And I'll just, just see how you're doing, see where things are. I'm not expecting you to buy anything. So,
At least that was a little bit of a takeaway. But, again, man, like, I don't personally know Nick. Sounds like a really nice guy. Sounds like a really personable guy. Lori, his trainer, says he's awesome. I'm sure he is great. And I'm sure his mom loves him too. This lady doesn't know who he is. This lady doesn't want to hang out with you every couple of weeks and BS with you, right? And in this call, we haven't established a reason why this complete stranger would want to hang out with cool Nick, we need some of that. There needs to be some, what's she going to get out of a random Nick call, right? That hasn't been established yet.
Yeah, and it's interesting. And I'll say this, the higher level the person is on the other end of the phone, the higher level the potential client is, the less likely they're going to want to sit around and have a conversation with you, because their time's more valuable.
Right. Yeah. If you get the lonely cat lady on disability, she will definitely hang out with you every couple of weeks. And in fact, would prefer like a regularly scheduled weekly call if you don't mind.
Exactly.
Okay,
Well, I can't
cool.
buy
Well,
anything till I sell, so that's not going to happen anytime soon.
Cool.
Buy
Well,
anything till I sell, so that's not going to.
Okay,
Well, I can't
cool.
buy
Well,
anything till I sell, so that's not going to happen anytime soon.
I can't make out what she said there. Did you get it?
Yeah, I can't buy anything until I sell, so I'm not going to do anything soon.
Got it. Okay. Oh man. We definitely need to have another conversation with her.
Yeah. Cool. Well, yeah. No, it's like I said, it's a cool market to kind of look around, and if you do see something you like, just reach out. Okay.
All right, will do. Thank you.
All right. Thank you. Bye bye.
Bye bye.
You know what I would do? I'd call her back and be like, if you had the skill, I'd call her back and be like, hey, listen, I know you're not buying anything. I know I took up a bunch of your time the other day out of the blue. It occurred to me that you tried to get your home sold. It didn't work. And you said you can't do anything until it sells next time. I just want to find out what happened, and maybe I can give you some advice on how to make it happen when you go for it again, so that you don't get stuck like you did before. I would just blast into that, right? Like, get back into the conversation, have those couple of key pieces. Those are the important things to talk about. She does not want to talk about what she's going to buy. She doesn't want to talk about you sending her properties. what you could get her to talk about is why her damn house didn't sell and how it's holding up her plans.
Yeah, and it's funny. I don't like to talk about negative stuff, but a lot of people do. They want to talk about how their agent sucked and this didn't happen and this didn't happen. You can get them to tell you everything, you know? Oh,
Dude,
perfect.
I'll let you complain all the way to the closing table if that's what you want to do.
My clients are very welcome to do that as well, as long as they continue to work with me and
Right.
buy and sell houses, right?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Great.
absolutely.
Well, thanks
Cool.
for sending those in, Nick and Brian.
Yeah, we appreciate that. We bashed on you guys, but it's all good fun, I promise. And
I don't think we bashed on them. Nick has a
didn't.
great attitude, great energy. I think that if he listens to that, I would instruct Nick to be like, okay, Nick, go listen to that. I want you to listen for what value she was looking for from us and what did we offer to her, and they were completely out of line.
Yes, yeah, completely. And you know, I'm going to answer a question real quick in the chat. Sorry, I got my brain on that question in the chat. So somebody said, how do you deal with these higher, let me read. Oh, Sarah said, what is the right way to handle those higher dollar clients? Let me say this. I don't think you handle them any differently. I'm just saying be aware of the fact that a higher dollar client is going to value their time and make sure you're valuing their time as well. And the reason I say it's no different, because if somebody makes $12 an hour or someone makes $1,200 an hour, I'm an efficiency guy. It's not a big difference for me. I'm efficient. I'm in, I'm out, I'm done, mostly because I'm not that interested in the conversation, if I had to be honest. But so I don't need to have a, you know, it always confuses me. I've got 3 or 4 people on my team and we look at their call time and you go through and they see a call for 41 minutes and another call for 38 minutes. And I'm like, I don't talk to my mom for 41 minutes on the phone. So I'm not going to talk to some random stranger for 41 minutes on the phone. So, but I would say just value their time, and you should value everyone's time. I was just pointing out that you're less likely to get tolerance from somebody who makes $150, $200 an hour because they value their time. Like, don't call me and just have a good time if we're not friends. Like, if we're friends, that's different. You know, that's doing, by the way, call me after 5 o'clock and we'll be friends and we'll do friend stuff. But from 8 to 5, I'm working and I'm making money, and I'm not interested in having a conversation that doesn't make me money.
Yeah, I think it's also it's also good to point out personality type. And I think that I don't know, this is anecdotal. I don't know if this is accurate or not, but it seems like higher wage earners or business owners have like a higher percentage of them are like drivers and, you know,
Oh
kind
yeah.
of, you know what I mean? Like they're those kind of personalities that are like, give it to me now, let's go. Like, you know, don't waste my time, stuff like you were talking about, or are also very experienced at deciding very quickly, is this worth my time or is it not? Or what decision needs to be made here? They're good trigger pullers, you know, essentially like moving forward.
Yeah, when Dale's talking disc there, that high D personality is make a quick decision. So if you don't make a quick decision, you're frustrating, irritating me, and I've got stuff to do. So I don't care how the cake was made. I just want to eat it.
Nice.
Just being honest, I don't care. You bake the cake at 350. I don't care. How's it
That's
taste?
so
Tastes
funny.
good. Give me a bite. You know.
That's so funny. All right, do we have time for your call? Or I don't know. We've got 4 minutes left.
I'm voting we don't, simply because my call is 3 minutes and 10 seconds long, and
Okay.
that's assuming we don't talk about it. So
Right. Well, we could save it for next time then. Let's see. Rafe wanted to say hi. Thanks, Rafe. Love you too, buddy. He loves the calls and the training and probably my hair. It's okay, Rafe. I'll teach you how to do some hair. All right, everybody. Any questions? Do we have any questions about that stuff? Yeah, buts, what ifs? We haven't been fielding a lot of questions in the old podcast lately. We need a production manager who can be like, hey, this is the format of your podcast, damn it. Go do it like this. Michael Miller, how would you deal with someone wanting to wait a year?
Perfect.
Got it. Well, I believe this is the Michael Miller that's been through some of our training. And so it is, there he is. He said it is that Michael Miller. So Michael, I think you should be able to answer this question for yourself, but for the sake of the audience, I'm going to tell you we first want to figure out what's important to them about waiting for a year. Yes, asking for the benefit. Oh, thank you, Michael. Michael put
Thanks,
the question in there for the benefit of everyone else. Michael's like, no,
He's
no,
our new
no,
production.
this is for everybody else.
He's our new production manager.
He's our new good job, Michael. Are you looking for a job as a production manager? Yes. So you're going to find out why they're waiting a year without using the word why. What's important about waiting a year? How did you decide to wait a year? Is there an advantage to waiting for a year? Right.
Yeah, what's the benefit to you waiting for a year?
Yeah, exactly. And I'm only using the terminology waiting for a year if the person actually says, oh, hey, Brian, I'm waiting for a year. If they said, oh, we're going to be buying in about a year, I wouldn't use the word waiting. I'd simply ask, got it. Hey, what's important about buying in a year? How did you decide to buy in a year? Is there an advantage to buying in a year? What's going to happen in a year from now? Right? That's the way I would ask it. I don't use the word waiting because waiting isn't normally a positive thing.
Yeah, and here's something that I've been doing with people that I've been doing some coaching and training on. I'm doing my contrast. I'm calling it 2021 versus 2023. So, and I want everyone to think about this. If you guys listen to Cash Call, you probably heard me say this. I apologize for being redundant, but I believe it was better to have already owned a home in 2021 at, say, a 5% interest rate than it was to try and buy a home in 2021. Why? Because I didn't have to compete against anybody. I didn't have to waive inspections. I didn't have to pay $50,000 over appraised value. I just simply got a better interest rate and paid less money. Or maybe I switched to a fit, but I just got the benefit. So again, and this is something that we need to let people know, what's the benefit of buying in 2023? I can do a home inspection. I don't have to waive this. I don't have to do non-refundable deposits. I don't have to do escalation clauses. I don't have to do appraisal gaps. You guys should know that stuff off the top of your head. And what's the disadvantage? Okay, the interest rate is higher. Let me ask you this. Is appraisal gap variable? No. Are these other things variables? No. You know what's a variable? Interest rate. Why do I say that? Because if and when the interest rates go down, you can go ahead and refi just like the people did in 2021 who really benefited from the interest rates dropping. Because between you and I, there's a whole bunch of people who did not benefit in 2021. Couldn't buy a house because they kept getting beaten out. Didn't have $50,000 in cash to pay over market value. There's a whole bunch of people who hated 2021. So we need to start getting people to understand this, that it's actually a good thing to buy in 2023. Because 2022 is over as far as I'm concerned. It's a good thing. And it's an advantage. And is it better to own or is it better to not own? Well, when interest rates go down, here's another great script. Well, I believe that interest rates are going to go down because you guys are going to hear that. Great. So do you remember 2021? Yes, I remember 2021. How was that? It sucked. Okay. So when interest rates go back down, do you think we're going to have a whole bunch of inventory and not a lot of competition? No, we're going to have a whole bunch of competition. So once again, Mr. Buyer, would you rather own now and refi, or would you rather wait for the rate to drop and then compete and then waive inspections and do appraisal gaps and that kind of stuff? So,
yep. Mike, I'm not even going to try to pronounce Mike's last name. A different Mike wrote into the chat and you just kind of addressed some of it. I just got this from my client. I think we'll start to look once the interest rates go down and things are more affordable. My condo is small, but so are the payments, thankfully. Haha. What would be your take? And so Brian just gave you some of that, which is, hey, congrats, the rates go down.
Well,
and a lot more buyers in the market.
Let me just have another honest conversation. If somebody has a property that they like at a 3% interest rate, you're not going to talk them out of selling it. It doesn't make sense. It's a bad decision. So why is someone with the 3% interest rate going to move? Well, my wife just got pregnant. We're about to have twins. My house is huge. My 3 kids just moved out last week, and now I've got a 4,000 square foot house for me and my wife. I mean, there's reasons for people to move, but they're not just going to randomly move because it feels like a fun thing to do right now. Right. So the people who works best for are people who are renters. Go ahead.
Yeah. So Mike, we don't have a whole lot of time here. And normally my process would be to unpack this person with the small condo. And what I would tell you is that you want to go after their motivation to actually make a move. You want to, if the bullet wound is small apartment, you want to kind of stick your finger in the bullet wound and get them to talk about how small the apartment is and how great it would be to be in whatever big house they want. but I'll just give you a quick objection handler after you did that unpack and question and positioning. And it could sound something like, hey, Brian, all that makes a lot of sense, man. Listen, I understand that your payment is really affordable right now, but right now there's not much competition among buyers because they're all scared and the interest rates are high. And if you want to make a move now, you have a lot of options when it comes to condos. So would it make more sense to potentially would it potentially make more sense to lock in? I didn't mean more options with condos. You have a lot more options with homes right now because of the lack of competition. Would it make more sense to lock in a place that was great for you guys where you don't have to compete and overbid like we used to, and then just refinance any kind of ugly rate you get later on if the rates do come down, which we don't know that they definitely will, right? So Mike, just go for that, man. If the answer is no, then they just don't have enough motivation to make a move right now.
Yeah. And one of the things I also like to do is just do a little takeaway at the end. And let me say this, guys, I don't want you buying a house that you can't afford. That is not my objective.
No.
That does two things. First of all, it does a little bit of takeaway. Hey, I can afford anything I want. There's a little bit of that. And also they go, oh, all right, Brian's on my team. He doesn't want me doing something that's not in my best interest. And by the way, both of those things are true.
Right. Exactly. All right, everybody. Thank you so much for investing wisely 1/2 hour of your lives into Brian and Dale today. Good seeing
Thanks,
everybody.
everybody.
See everybody next week. Bye.
All right.